So I'm going to jump straight onto our Food Factor Life website. So I don't know if people have seen this before or this is completely new to you, but this is our website where we have all our free resources to support teachers. And we have resources that go for pupils from 3 years old right up to 16 years old. Our education programme has been around for over 30 years now. And we've been on the website for the last 20 odd years. And this is, I say, our hub of where all our stuff goes for teachers and the education community. So it's run by ourselves, the British Nutrition Foundation, and we are currently partnered with AHDB, the Agriculture Horticulture Development Board, and AHDB support us with the Where Food Comes From materials on our website. So we're all about the healthy eating, cooking, the nutrition, and then we look to AHDB to help us provide the latest information on, say, UK farming. So this is our website. I would recommend, if you don't already, get our newsletter. Just on the home page here, you can see the Stay Informed box there. And it's useful to get our newsletter, Education News. Comes out once a month, and we highlight in there any new resources we've got, any new training, and also some reminders of things that, that have hidden gems on the website that you might have forgotten about. So I recommend that you sign up for the newsletter. We also have a Twitter account, so you can find our X, as I should say, actually, over here. And that's a really good way as well of just, if you want to scan through and see what's going on with us, it's a great way of just seeing at a glance what's going on. So, for example, we had these drop-in sessions on the site earlier this week. We've been speaking at the curriculum and assessment review. So we've been giving our feedback on that. We've been out and about doing different things, so there's loads and loads of stuff on there. And it just gives you good oversight of what the most current things for us are. So just looking then specifically to our primary areas, so that's our 5 to 7 here and our 7 to 11. And when you go into one of those areas, depending on the age of pupil you're teaching, you'll get a drop down with some various choices. So in both 5 to 7 and 7 to 11, you'll get healthy eating, cooking, where food comes from, commodities, knowledge organisers, activity packs, and actually just in the 5 to 7 you'll see primary food projects, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit more in a minute, and they actually go through from 5 years right up to 11 years. So that's how we're organised. And when you go into an area, so for example, healthy eating, you'll see you've got some choices within there. So we've got four or five choices in here of what we can look at. So depending what we're teaching, or starting right from the beginning and running through if you haven't done anything on the website before. So on the landing page 5 to 7, you see we've got some key learning objectives there. That's where we're going with the materials. And then if I go into an area such as the Eat Well Guide, I'll see there's some sort of lesson notes put out for me there, giving some background for my teaching, and looking at what I want to communicate to children, and then various, say, little sort of chunks of information. And then right at the bottom we've got all the materials that go with those particular activities or sessions, and they can just be downloaded freely. So it works like that. We'll say whichever area you go into, you say you've got your drop downs, and you've got information, and then the resources are always sitting nicely at the bottom for you. So I'm just going to go back into the main drop down of the 5 to 7 area and just go into our primary food projects. Now it says new there, but they're not as new, not brand new, but newish, and these have been really popular in primaries. And what they are is basically 6 projects, and they focus around teach about healthy eating, cooking, and where food comes from. They're also linked to curricula across the UK, so in England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. So aspects of food that need to be taught for those age groups in whatever curricula that is are all picked up within these units. So we've got, say, Bring on Breakfast there, for example, for 5 to 6 years. So, you know, if you're in England, that will pick up the cooking and nutrition in your design and technology curriculum. Also, anything about healthy eating and science and RSC and health education will be, you know, covered in that project. So if you're, you know, I don't know what it's like in your school with your food education, but if you're sort of, there's not much going on and you really need to get all the staff motivated, you can download these projects and share them or share the links to them with your colleagues. And you've essentially got a scheme of work, 6 lesson plans and all the resources for each year of primary school. So you can be sure, you know, you're covering a food project at least once in primary school, in each year of primary school. I mean, obviously we'd be hoping there might be other opportunities for food teaching during the year, but at least you'll know you've got one solid project there looking at food. I'm just going to open one of them. I'm just going to open Grab and Go. So this one is for the top end of primary, and you can see there's a little bit of a description at the top about what that project's about and sort of the aims. And then if I go down a little bit here, you can see that the first document is always, say, that the sort of scheme of work and the lesson plans. So I'm going to just download that so we can take a little look together. So you've got, you know, say an opening sheet there, and then you've got all the teaching and learning for each of the lessons set out for you just there. And then all the curriculum links. So say if you're in England, it shows you where that's going to fit in the curriculum in England, in design, technology, science, RSE. And then say if you're in Northern Ireland, it would do the same, and Scotland and Wales as well. So you can see it's all set out what this is going to cover, this project. And then you get into your lessons. So you've got your lesson plans all nicely set out for you there. And then you've got all the supporting resources that go with it as well. So this on the go project, I'm going to just download this PowerPoint here and see if we can show a few slides from that. So the Grab and Go project is about snacks and things we have on the go. And I just want to show you a few slides. So this is, you know, how you can talk to your class about you know, on-the-go products. So it shows a range of sort of handheld products there. And then there's an opportunity to talk about what goes into these products and get children to identify, say, the key ingredients. And then, as I say, if we just move on a little bit, it brings it back to the Eat Well guide so that we can see, you know, oh, this is what, you know, this is what we should be eating, and look at how our snacks might contribute. And then as it goes on, there's an opportunity to look a little bit more at the nutrients and then to look at making, you know, healthier alternatives. So, you know, what's in our snacks, you know, where can we make tweaks and amends and changes to reduce the fat, the salt, the sugar, etc. So chances also to look at nutrient labels and then to try and make some sort of healthier alternatives. There's a lot of information in there, all say all ready for you and nice and easy to run through with your class. So that's just an example of the primary food projects, and in particular the one for year 6, the Grab and Go. I'm going to move on now to the whole school area. So we've got, say, different ages across the top. We've got a pupils with additional needs area, recipe area, whole school, professional development. I'm going to go in the whole school, and I'm going to look at the first item here, which is Primary Food Lead Essentials Pack. So this is a newish resource. Now, we did have one of the drop-in sessions back in September, where we were actually just giving a general tour of the website, and a few of these things we touched on then, and we're going to send to you afterwards with your excuse me, with a link to the recording. We will send you the links to things we talked about in September. So there might be things in there that we don't talk about today, but you'll be able to look at those, and you'll also get the links for what I'm talking about today. So this is the, excuse me, Primary Food Lead Essentials Pack. And this is something we put together because we're aware there's a lot of materials on the website and sometimes it's a bit hard for people to navigate. So we thought, right, we'll curate a sort of selection of the Food Effect Life resources into a sort of package for those in primary school who are leading food. So that was kind of our target audience that we had in mind. But essentially, all the information on this page can be used by, anybody in primary who's teaching food, whether that's, the class teacher, the teaching assistant, trainee. There's lots of information here that everyone can benefit from. So it's set out at the top here, just as who's it for, what's in the pack, and the pack focuses around planning, good practice, and training. So we see in the first section here, it's about our food curriculum roadmaps, and this is really the bigger picture. So the food curriculum roadmaps show what children from age 3 right up to 16 need to know about healthy eating, cooking, where food comes from. So there's 3 separate maps for each of those. So if you're looking at healthy eating, you can go to the map, you can have a look at the journey that children are going to be on and where you're going to be picking them up. And, this is a good thing to share with the whole school so everyone can see, where their part fits in. We've got downloadable versions of these, but also interactive versions, which are really handy. So if you can see the sort of boxed statements on that map. And if you click on those, it will take you straight through to the, materials on the site that support the learning around that statement. So a very quick way of getting to lesson ideas and resources. We've got a food teaching progression chart, and there isn't an image of that because it's not a very pretty document. It's just quite an ordinary Word document. But that's where we've looked at primary from 5 right up to 11, and we've plotted what the progression should look like in different aspects of food. So within the health eating, cooking, where food comes from, we've gone through it in sort of topics. So if it's healthy eating, that might be looking at tasting. Well, I'll take a different example, actually. Cooking. So cooking, we'd be looking at ingredients that children might be experiencing as they move through primary, or the equipment they might be using, or the skills they should have. So we follow sort of themes within those broader headings. So that gives you some really good guidance, because we know that all the curricula in the UK, the information about food, and I say particularly in England, is very minimal. So if you're looking in the cooking and nutrition curriculum, you're looking, a few sentences for the whole of the time in school, really. So this really unpacks that and helps you see what to teach for different age groups. Here are the primary projects that I've already mentioned, so I won't go on about those again, but they're in here. So you'll see as we're going down through this sort of curation of resources, we're sort of funneling down. So we start with, what's the planning, where are children starting from, and it's looking from 3 right up to 16. Then we've got our progression chart, which is just focusing on primary, and then we've actually got individual schemes of work, lessons and resources for each year group. In addition to that, we've got lots of sort of food-based activity packs that can fit into other topics within the curriculum or be for a special event. So, for example, we've got information about the Victorians and kind of in the context of food. So, what the Victorians ate, how they were sort of bound by eating seasonally because of what was available, how, during the Victorian period, things such as pickling came into existence because obviously they were trying to preserve their food. So lots of interesting stuff. We've got a great pack on space as well, food in space, what can you eat in space, what happens to food in space, etc. So loads of lovely themed packs, which can support themes in school that are already happening. Got a really nice recipe area, which I'm going to dip back into in a moment. Information for engaging parents and carers, and also looking at, say, a whole school food policy. So you should have a whole school food policy in your school. If you're not sure about that, it's a good idea to go and try and seek it out, find out, have you got one? Is it up to date? What does it say? And if you haven't, or it doesn't seem right, we've got guidance on how you can look at, starting a new food policy. We've got good practice documents as well. So these are called the characteristics of good practice. And these actually go through and they've got, you know, what does good look like? So they take different aspects of food. So let me think. So like professional development or food skills, and they'll give you sort of bullet points of what you'd expect to see happening in the classroom, in the school, if good practice was in place. And then also some lovely case studies as well from primary practitioners, things they do, just to give you some inspiration. So we have the good practice guides for primary, for pupils with additional needs, and for secondary as well, for anybody who does some secondary work. Our guidelines, this is a really helpful document. So obviously, as teachers, you're often picking things up or seeing something, oh, that's great, I'll use that. But it's important to, you know, think about what we're actually using in the classroom. You know, is it, excuse me, is it giving up-to-date messages? Is it accurate? Is it appropriate? And so we've put some guidelines in place for education resources about food, which our own resources comply to. And they are guidelines, they're voluntary guidelines, but they show, you know, what to be thinking about when you're looking for resources that teach about food in the classroom. We've got a great area about food hygiene and safety practices. So that's obviously worth looking at, some risk assessment templates there. And then we've got training as well. So some great webinar recordings. And then we've got events such as like this one today that come up all the time. So it's really good to have keep an eye on our training area. And if you have signed up for Education News and you are on X, again, that will point you to all these things that are going on. Just to point out as well, our project called Teaching Primary Food and Nutrition. Now, this is a self-directed CPD programme. It's actually coming to an end, but in terms of us sending out the physical folders for this project, but it will continue on. All the materials and the information will still exist beyond the end of this year. But we're just saying to people at the moment, if you're interested in this professional development programme, it's a good idea to go on, register. Then you'll get a physical binder and a sort of a slim document as well that tells you, you know, what to do. And it's all about sort of reviewing your own practice, your competence and your confidence in teaching, and then setting yourself targets, seeing where you think there's areas that could be developed. We give you ideas about things you could do. So, for example, if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable about teaching food lessons and using knives or equipment in the classroom, we'll give you suggestions like, you know, you might go and shadow a secondary school food teacher and look at those skills and have a conversation with them, and then you keep a note of what you've done, and then that comes together to form sort of like a collection of things you've done for CPD. And it's a great way of, say, showcasing that you've taken the initiative, that you're, you know, working on your own professional development, even though, say, budgets are tight and you can't get out of school, but you're still doing something for your professional development, you know, improving your knowledge. So I say, if you scan down here, I think Francis is probably popping some links into the chat for me with these on, but we will send you direct links to the stuff I'm talking about today after the session. So that was that area there, the primary food leads area. There is, while I'm here, I am going to just ask a little favour of you. We're doing a snack survey at the moment. We're about to start the Great Snack Survey. So we want to find out more about snacking behaviour in the last year of primary school and the first 2 years of secondary school. So if you're working with any pupils in the last year of primary, or you can ask your colleagues, we'd love the pupils to take part in our Great Snack Survey. So you can register on this page here. It says register how to get involved. You just give your email address, your name, etc. And then when the survey is ready towards the end of next week, I will send you a link to it that you can use with your pupils. And we will share what we're going to do is we're going to use the survey to give us some insight into pupil behaviours around snacking, and then develop some materials that will form part of our next healthy eating week. So it'll be supporting us with, you know, the foundation work for our week. And as we get close to the week itself in 2025, which is going to be around in September, we'll share the results. So your pupils might be, you know, part of the group of respondents. So love you to help with that if you could. Particularly keen to make sure we do get primary representation. So we're asking last year of primary, first two of secondary, but I say really keen to make sure primary are in there. So back to the website, just wanted to quickly show you the recipe area. So we've got around 300 recipes on the site, and they can be sorted in different ways by the food skills that are used, how long it takes, you know, what age group it is, cooking method, to help you find those. So if I, for example, go here, I'm just going to say I want no cook recipes. Now that automatically sort of updates. So all these recipes you see here now won't require any heat. So they're all recipes that can be made without using heat. And these are great in primary because as we know, most primaries don't have a purpose-built kitchen, and it is a challenge. And that's why the resources I say on Food of Fact to Life should be really helpful to you. Particularly, I say, if you're looking in like our, you know, in your age group and you go into our cooking areas, we've got things like guides on how to set up your classroom safely, you know, things to think about. We've also got videos in there that can show you the different food skills like the bridge and the claw. So there's so much on there that can really support you. So just lastly then, I think a professional development area here, and this is where you can find our previous webinar recordings. Again, I'll send you a link to that, and you can also find out what else is going on for our training. So at the moment, it's all about these drop-in sessions, and you're here with us today, which is fantastic. We'll have an additional needs session on the 13th of November, and then we're going to do early on the 5th. And you can see our latest kind of conferences that are coming up. These ones are sort of really for secondary teachers at the moment, but we sometimes have workshops and things for primary. And then we have lots of free online training courses as well. So you can have a look through those, see if there's anything you like the look of, and do some training for free there.